memories of Vanessa being an eraser. Man, you made the movie. Believe me. It's great to have you all here. Good afternoon, everybody. And I want to thank also my mother-in-law for being here today. I mean, this is amazing. What is that? You're 113 years old, and you're here in China. I mean, just joking. I know you're 60 years old, I'm just joking. And I also want to thank Maria for being here today. She's always a great partner in all this in promoting Special Olympics. But anyway, I want to thank Timmy Schreiber for asking me to speak here today and say a few words. And he asked me to talk a little bit about the history of Special Olympics and also my work the last 30 years of Special Olympics. And I just wanted to just say what an exciting moment it is for me to be back here again in China, and especially to be back here in Special Olympics. And when I spoke yesterday at this amazing opening ceremony, I couldn't help but think about how far Special Olympics really has come. I mean, if you think back at the time, what a journey from the first hectic days at Camp Schreiber, when units actually started with the training of people with intellectual disabilities. This was in 1962, when everyone thought, all the experts thought, that people with intellectual disabilities should not be let out of institutions. They belong in the institutions, they should be locked up. That it would be actually dangerous for them to be out. It would be much better if they're in there. This way they couldn't hurt themselves, or couldn't hurt anyone else. But Eunice, of course, knew better. She has always known better. And trust me, the biggest mistake anyone can make is to say no to Eunice Schreiber. I know that firsthand. She's the ultimate can-do woman. As a matter of fact, when you see me in a movie playing Terminator, I only play the Terminator. She is the real Terminator. But anyway, the more they said no, that you shouldn't let them out of institutions, the more she went and brought them out of institutions. And she bussed them to the sports fields, she bussed them to her house, and she started training them. She hired coaches, and she brought in volunteers. And when she ran out of volunteers, she even went to a local prison. And she got inmates to become counselors in their sports events and all their activities. Now imagine what that meant for her husband, Sergeant Schreiber, who also, of course, has started many different programs. If it is Peace Corps, Job Corps, Legal Aid to the Poor, VISTA, all of those great programs. But even he was shocked when he went home and he saw all of a sudden, prisoners running around his house and kids bouncing off the walls and bouncing off trampolines and playing tennis and learning how to do horseback riding and swimming and all those different sports. And the more fun that the kids had, the more fun, of course, Judith had. She just loved it. And she started expanding the program, and it got bigger and bigger year after year, until 1968, when she asked Mayor Daley, the late Mayor Daley, that he should actually stage a track and field event in Chicago. And he did. And he organized this event, which was a small event. There were only a few hundred people, spectators there, and a few hundred athletes, but nevertheless, it was the beginning of Special Olympics. And of course it was terrific because when they went to Eunice and said, after these games are over, I can tell you, the world will never be the same. And sure enough, you could see over the last 40 years, things have changed, and the world hasn't been the same. I mean, look at what you have brought together right here in China. I mean, it's now 40 years later, 7,500 of the top athletes from 165 countries came together participating in 25 different sports. There were more than 80,000 spectators yesterday in the stadium. And on the floor there were an additional 20,000, so more than 100,000 people in the stadium. Who would have thought that at that time? And Chinese television is broadcasting the games nationally with a potential audience of 1 billion. I mean, think about that, 1 billion. Overall, China has now 600,000 Special Olympic athletes. 7 years ago, they only had 50,000. And I remember when I talked then in the year 2000 to my friend Deng Fufang, and he said to me, we want to expand Special Olympics here in China. We want to increase it from 50,000 to 500,000. Well, they went way beyond that. They're now, like I said, 600,000. And around the world, more than 2.3 million athletes are participating in Special Olympics regularly. So this worldwide movement miraculous success story. And it can even continue growing, and it should continue growing until we have all 192 countries participating in Special Olympics. Now, I just did a week ago, on Monday, a speech at the UN where I talked about, fighting global warming. And before I left the stage, I said, I'll be back. And something, I will be back, but talking about Special Olympics, how they should increase in all 192 countries also participate in Special Olympics.